focus on a couple of learning objectives, and I'm going to move forward because I always brain blank right before I do the presentation, and then we'll get into it and I'll be fine. So today we're hoping to help you identify different career paths that are open to you and ways to determine the needed skills that you might need so that you can go out and obtain those skills.
And the next objective is we want to help you understand some key factors influencing career success. So I will be talking about some of those ways to apply real world strategies to advancing your career.
All right, I think I do have the microphone. And then we will talk about general and institution-specific resources that are available to us to grow our knowledge and perspective of research administration and career paths.
So this is my fun part, and we're going to talk about career paths. And we took the liberty of changing a few of the pictorial slides. This looks like a little bit of a nice path through the woods to me. This is what most people think research administration is. It is when we first kind of fall into it, right? Because a lot of people don't realize that this is a career. So we get to it from different ways. They think, you know, hey, I start getting involved in it. Maybe I advance to a junior or senior or leadership position, and that this is the one way to go. Whether that means that you're pre-award or post-award or a compliance area, it's actually more like a choose your own adventure novel, which is why we picked that title. This is what I think research administration career paths look like. And actually what I don't have on this page are all of the little swirls that go between and to all these different units that help and interact with us as well. We have pre-award and post-award functions. Yes, we have compliance functions, but the operations area where you're doing systems administration, training and development, policies, processes, and efficiencies, those are growing areas. We also have all of these extra areas that support us. So at the University of Arizona, we've got the Native Persons Technical Assistance Office, or NPTAO, that helps with researchers interacting with tribal nations and obtaining tribal consultations ahead of time and approval, getting that buy-in before they submit their proposal, preferably, right? Because our Native tribal representatives should be helping to develop that proposal, not just signing off on it. Nope, we clicked off of it. Just click on the thing.
All right.
There we go. All right, so we're going to talk a little bit about the different skills for different stages. We see this as a tree. There are going to be some base or root skills that everybody can use early on in their career. Mid-career is when you're going to grow your trunk. You're going to add those specific skills that are going to expand your base and your knowledge and make you more of a force. And then leadership and advanced is kind of your canopy where you get to have your leaves and your flowers and really kind of show some of the skills you've developed. So can anyone here tell me one or two what they feel are early career skills when you're just starting out in any field?
Shout them out.
What was that?
Problem solving.
Problem solving. Yes, exactly. So initiative, adaptability, and time management. Being someone who doesn't just wait for things to be handed to you, but for you to look at, be able to recognize a need and start pursuing it early on. Being able to manage your own time to say, okay, I know that I have these 4 projects that I need to get done. What's the most urgent? How do I manage these 4 things at one time? Critical thinking, problem solving, and analysis. This is always going to be important in any career field, right? We need to be able to look at something, kind of pull apart the components, determine what's important and relevant, and how to move forward with it. Communication, teamwork, and customer service. And so these are some of those soft skills that we need to start developing early on, because we're always going to be working with people, especially in this field. Next, we've got our mid-career growth opportunities. So somebody just shout out as loud as you can, because I know we don't have a microphone for you, what you think might be a mid-career skill. Delegating. Okay. So this is actually where I see you growing your technical skills for research administration. Accounting, budgeting, data analysis and reporting, compliance, policy and regulation, interpretation and application. That's where we start learning about all of these rules that we have to follow. Grant and contract administration, technical writing, and process creation and improvement. These are the things that we help to build our teams and to help make things more efficient as we're running them. Mentoring, training, development, and project management are going to start here too, because this is where we're going kind of from that mid-career to that step up to the senior. We want to show that we have the ability to help those coming up behind us. And then our leadership roles, this is where I'm going to say delegating goes. You really need it at this point. So strategic planning, change management, and conflict resolution are some of the most important skills that you can have in a leadership role. Advocacy, diversity, and equity and inclusion are also big. And I know that DE&I is sometimes a bad word in this country right now, but it's still necessary in any kind of university setting. Human resources, recruitment, and resource management. How are you going to hire good people if you don't understand the human resources processes behind them? If you don't know what you need in a job role? Resource management, you're going to be managing a team. It's not just your time anymore. Policy and program development and portfolio management. So the difference between program management and portfolio management, program and project management, we're going to have one thing that's going to have a bunch of different components, and that's great. And it's really good skill to have as a proposal developer, especially large, complex proposals. Program management's the thing. But when you get into leadership, you have multiple large projects happening to you all at once. You need to be able to keep eyes on all of them. And that's that portfolio management piece. At this level too, in your leadership levels, this is where you're going to say, is what we're doing making sense? Does it actually create efficiencies and save time, or am I adding administrative burden? What can I do here? So again, you're going to see this kind of tree motif throughout the entire thing. But let's focus a little bit on where you find opportunities. So there are a lot of different search engines out there these days, and I want to make sure everybody here is aware of some of these. HigherEdJobs.com is one of the best search engines for research administration, sponsored programs, and grants for higher education. They have a remote work capability that you can check if you're looking for that type of thing. You can function by state, and it's a really great way to go look and see what's out there right now. NCURA, or the National Council on University Research Administrators. I don't like to use acronyms too much without explaining them because I am a training person, has a career center for job seekers. Now, you do have to be a member in order to access this, but it is out there. The Society of Research Administrators International, or SRA International, has a career center as well. And this one you can access without a membership. You can actually see all of the information. There are some more features if you have a membership that you can access, but this is basically open. Of course, there are things like Indeed.com. And if you're using these, make sure that you're using those keywords to kind of narrow your focus. If you are looking for something in a pre-award area, proposals, pre-award, applications, those are good words. If you're looking for post-award, grant management, those types of words are going to help you find more in that area. LinkedIn.com also has a great job section. And this is actually a great one because if you grow your profile on LinkedIn.com, you can upload your resume. You can actually have it searching for jobs and sending them to you. So you can get a regular notification for this type of thing. But how do you determine what skills you need for the job that you want? So I'm a director today. As of January, I took on the position. And as of April 1st, I'm actually official. So April Fool's for me. But prior to this, I was a manager in sponsored projects for training and development. And before that, I was a senior research administrator working on large complex proposals. And before that, I was just a regular research administrator. And way before all of that, I was an admin assistant. So how do I find the skills that I need to become a director?
I was this close to having her on my team.
So Lisa actually interviewed me for a position in 2019, 2020.
Yeah.
And offered me the job. And then my boss said, I need an opportunity to retain you. And I said, okay, what do you got? And this is when she came up with the manager for training and development and sponsored project services. So I apologetically told Lisa I would have to decline. We've worked together many times since, but it cracks me up every time we get thrown back together because we just keep coming together in life. So this is a little bit of a position description activity. No, my position description is not there. I don't think that's the latest version. Okay, we're going to skip the position description activity and I'm just going to talk to you for a second. So when you open up a job description, you're generally going to get two different types. You're going to get one that's just a couple of paragraphs of text. It's going to say, this is what our job is, and here's who you are. It doesn't really call out specific skills and abilities, but it may say things like, you're going to be responsible for all pre-award processes. So you can go and you can research what pre-award is if you don't do that already, and then start to look for tools and materials that'll help you build that. Some of them are actually going to call it out line by line, and they're going to say, these are the minimum qualifications we have for this job. Here are our preferred qualifications. And then they'll probably also have something called key skills and abilities. And this is where you're going to see really what are they looking for. In this job, in any job, communication skills are going to be one of your biggest resources. So being able to talk to different groups of people and kind of act as a translator is a research administrator's role. We have faculty members, we have research scientists in their labs, we may have business managers we're working with, students, grad students. We may have central office personnel that we have to talk to, or IT staff. And so being able to hear what's coming into you, understand it, and then realize, does this person I'm going to be talking to speak that same language? So for example, when I am dealing with systems problems, we have an electronic research administration system that's run by Koali, right? We call it UXS research. And when something goes wrong in there, I need to be able to figure it out and call my business analysts and tell them in a way that they're going to understand what needs to be fixed. And then sometimes, conversely, the other way, I will need to reach out to my faculty member and explain to them in user speak what it looks like on their end and how to get there. So it's a little bit of a translation role. When you find these skills in these job descriptions, go find a job description you want, identify what do you have already. If you already have that skill and you're relatively good at it, probably not your area for focus. If it's something new to you, LinkedIn Learning has a lot of great messages. YouTube has a lot of great stuff. All of these professional associations that we belong to, or even our universities, have great resources for it. And we're going to talk about some of those resources more towards the end. But for now, since I don't have my activity, I'm going to pass it off to Lisa. Here's the clicker.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So first thing, key to success is follow instructions and follow guidance. I think we were told like 5 times to wear comfortable shoes. These are not it. As a matter of fact, they're all the way across campus in my car. So I might take an Uber at some point here to go get them. So anyway, we're moving forward. Keys to success. So we saw the pathway earlier, okay, in terms of which direction you may go in your career, but sometimes we have obstacles in our way that's preventing us from getting from point A to Z when it comes to our career path. Could you all like throw up in the air some words or something, obstacles that you might experience getting from point A to Z in your career, or that you may have experienced? Anything? What's that? Health? Professional health? Personal health. Okay, gotcha. Very good. That's one. What's that? Manpower. Okay. Degree.
Yeah, but sometimes you can't get a job.
Yes. Degree or credentials, correct. Very good. Anything else? Training. Okay. All those are very good examples of obstacles that we may experience. And we definitely want to keep those in mind as we're going along our career path. We talked about some of the career paths that we may have, and we talked about our tree and how we grow. I'm going to talk about more of the environment that we're in, because we can have everything in mind in terms of what we want to do, what we want to be. We've fell into research administration. We may have goals to go on and, be the VPR, of research at some institution someday. But how you flourish and how you grow, a lot of that is impacted by the environment that you're in. So I want to talk about healthy supervision, because I've been in both. And do we have supervisors in the room? If you're a supervisor, raise your hand, please. No, some don't want to raise their hand, like, it's not top secret. I know who you are. But all of us are directly, we report to someone. So at the end of this, my session, you may love me or hate me, I don't know, but we're going to talk about healthy supervision. What does that look like? What does that feel like? First of all, leadership and ability to delegate, problem solving. We talked about that. As a leader, as someone that's supervising, are you able to do these things with some healthy boundaries? Are you able to recognize when you don't need to be the one to do it all? Okay, that keeping some of that knowledge to yourself actually stunts the growth of those that you're supervising. So giving them an opportunity to flourish and give them an opportunity to help you is so important. And if you're reporting to someone that's having that type of reservation about handing those things to you, is that good? Is that a healthy thing? So I'm challenging folks to think about that in their current environments. It's so important. Empathy and compassion, conflict resolution. When we talk about supervision, we're talking about those that are really focused on task-based objectives, getting the job done, performance, right? Anybody could get the position of supervisor, but how effective you are is going to be so important. So are you someone that has empathy and can be compassionate with those that work for you? Is there genuine interest in seeing them grow and develop? I've had some traumatic experiences, I'll just put it at that, when it comes to people that I've reported to. And I had to make some decisions for myself. Is that really healthy for me? Because at the end of the day, I'm walking away more stressed out. I'm loathing going to work. I'm, having all kinds of, concerns. And so we want to make sure that we're in an environment where we're looking at each other as humans and people and with feelings. I think it's important. And that's speaks to my communication style. Go ahead.
Can I say that this is a learned skill? You have to put effort into it, and it goes both ways.
Yep.
Your supervisor is responsible for having empathy and compassion and doing conflict resolution, but you as an employee also need to do that the opposite way, which is don't take everything personal.
Yep.
Not everything that's happening is an attack on you. We have to be able to step back and assume positive intent in both our employees and our supervisors. If they're showing us over and over again that they don't have positive intent, there's a bigger issue there. But this is a learned skill, so it takes some effort.
Yeah, I don't like tooting my horn or anything like that. I came from a background in human services, so I've worked with people and from all different backgrounds or whatever. When it comes to conflict resolution, when I look back on my career, it's almost like I feel like I should be in a movie called The Fixer. I'm the fixer, because I just feel like, at the end of the day, everybody's trying to get a need met. And so if we understand what each person's need is, then we can kind of try to meet in the middle somewhere to make sure that we're all walking away feeling like we didn't really compromise our values or anything like that. At the end of the day, we just want to make sure that's happening. So conflict resolution is a biggie. Effective communication, time and priority management, that came up before. Is that happening? Do you see that? Or do you see that communication is breaking down? There's not meetings with relevant stakeholders. There's a lot of confusion, a lot of chaos. These are symptoms of what I would call a toxic, all this. If it's not happening in a healthy way, it's a toxic environment. So, that's going to impact your ability to move around and even get that support. So talking about career development and planning, where are you right now? Think about where are you right now in your career, and how do you think feel about yourself in that current position? And this could be professionally, personally, any aspect of your life. Think about where are you now, but right now we're talking about career development. And then next we want to think about where do you want to be? Looking ahead, maybe a year, maybe 5 years down the road. Where do you want to be? Maybe it's okay where you're at. In 5 years, you're fine. I remember that along my career path, at some point I had to step back because I was getting ready to have my kids and, start, focusing on them. And so I said, you know what, right now, I don't want to go any further. As a matter of fact, I want to step even further back because I want to focus on them. So all these things play a part in that, right? So where do you want to be? And then gap analysis. That's where you talk about the skills that we're talking about, the degree, the credentials, the help, the resources. What do I need to fill that gap to get from where I am now to where I want to go? So that's where that's going to come into play. You can write this down on paper, and we're all intelligent. It's just a matter of putting it down on paper and thinking about it, because we can think it out in our head all day long. You know how that happened? What goes with that? Distractions, right? You're never going to get to it. So put it down on paper, so important. And then SMART goals, going from all that and making goals to actually get to that position or get to that place in your career that you want to be. That's the next step. So we are going to look at SMART goals and SMART goals. Oh, and understanding that it's a cyclical, that we're going to be going through this throughout our career. Okay. Reassessing where you are, for the next step. You're going to keep going through that challenge. So SMART goals, way back when it was like, okay, we write down a goal and where we want to be, but those goals were like trash, right? Because they weren't measurable. They were just like, I want to be a superstar and that's it. It's like, how are you going to achieve that? Like, okay, you're going to, play the lottery or something. I don't know. But the goals need to be specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. We do have sheets on the tables. If you all have a pen or pencil handy and you want to play along with us, I'm not sure if this is the latest slide, so my SMART goal might not be up there, but we'll see. Drum roll, please. So make sure that they're all these things. Okay, let's see here. Ooh, it's there. Okay, hand applause to get that. Okay, so specific. Now, I will tell you that this goal is I know I'm being recorded, so if my supervisor is looking right now, okay, it's on the table. I'm putting it out there. Specific. Okay, I would like to receive a promotion or a new position for the next level of my career path, and that is director. Okay, that's a goal. Because if I don't put it down, I'll never strive for it. I won't think about it. I'll just continue to be good with where I'm at, which is in a very good place, a very healthy place. I'm happy, but at some point, I'm not going to be here. NIU is beautiful. ASU is beautiful. U of A, all these collaborators was great, but I'm going to retire someday. Right? I'm trying to, do the bucket list thing. So, but I think that will get me where I can look back and say, I had a very successful career in research administration. So that's my goal. Is it measurable? So write down a goal that you may have for yourself. You can put down a word. You don't have to put down the whole thing. Is it measurable? So how am I going to know that I'm moving in that direction? So I'll ask my supervisor during my next performance review for the criteria that I need to meet to advance to the next level of my career path. And I will search at least 5 recruitment postings per month. So I'm not putting all my eggs in one basket. I'll tell you right there. And I will tell you that I actually already had this conversation I had last week. So, and he was very receptive, So at the end of the day, it's like getting that support, and that's the piece of it. I told you, you're gonna love me or hate me. Right now, it's like, I think people are wondering what kind of conversation I'm going to have next week with people in my room. But that's important. Is it achievable? Within 2 to 3 years, I want to transition from associate director to director by meeting the criteria that has been set by my supervisor, or moving on to greener pasture. So I think, you know how that goes. So, and relevancy. So I started my research administration career as a senior research support staff, and I was promoted to grants and contracts administrator due to professional accomplishments and all the things that I did. And I thought, I did pretty good in my job. And I've since been promoted from assistant to associate director. So as director, that would be the highest level in my view as reminiscent of a successful career in research administration. And I can retire happy camper in 5 to 7 years. So is that specific enough for you? I mean, I think so. Is it time bound? I'll be a director within 36 months. That's my goal. Okay. So somebody, you snapping your fingers? Oh, thank you. Finger snaps. I'm finger snaps, everybody, because I think that's it. So, oh gosh, hurry with time. I need to keep moving. Okay, mentoring, holistic care. Okay, all right. Okay, very good. Holistic care. I can get sidetracked. Supervision is, like I said, task-based. We can, you can get that title supervisor and you can delve out responsibilities and say, okay, did you tick this box? Did you do this task, whatever. But when we're talking about being a really healthy supervisor and having one that is healthy for you, it's a holistic approach, right? Holistic care is what I'm thinking about. So we're going to have someone that's going to build rapport. It's not going to be just a matter of, did you push this paper or did you do this task? But it's like, I want to get to know you as a person, how can I support you? And building that rapport. So more about, one of the things I did with my team members when we were done and the pandemic was shut down was, it was not just so much to get to know each other, but it was because we didn't have that one-on-one connection. So we had Zoom meetings and we had everybody share their hobby. I mean, they got into it too. One of them got on the Zoom and took the camera all out in the yard, showing us the flowers they were planting. And I was like, wow. One of them was a bird watcher and shared a Audubon or whatever. And I signed up for that, and they still getting the links in my email. I got 176,000 emails in my box, but they still come. Anyway, building rapport, setting some direct, that is mentoring as well. We can be mentors as supervisors. They looking to us, in some cases, emulate what we're doing. So we want to share that path with them. And I've done and been that way and open with all my staff. They know I support them, and whatever they decide they want to do, I'm very, very, very supportive. And I think that's so important. And that also leads to staff retention and overall well-being. Monitor their progress in terms of how they're coming with not just their professional goals, but maybe they have some other goals outside. Maybe they want to volunteer. Maybe they want to, do something. We get 8 hours of volunteer service.
Different degree.
Get that different degree. Exactly. Or the CRA. I have all the team members right now are like in the sessions for the CRA, which is, I think it's a great opportunity. I mean, there's not often you get an opportunity to participate for free. So that was amazing. Very good resource. Transition for autonomy. You want to get them to a point where they're not overly relying upon you, right? But they're understanding some of these key aspects to get them moving in the right direction. And then you want to, if you're the supervisor, you want to keep mentoring them, keep that whole approach going and going. Or if they decide they're, moving on to the next place, continue to support them. I have a person I supervise 35 years ago, and I'll be going back to Pennsylvania next week. We're meeting for lunch. You see what I'm saying? It don't have to stop. And him and another colleague of mine, there's 3 of us, we're all meeting for lunch. So,
and for those of you who are looking for mentoring, your supervisor is a great resource for that, but we can have other mentoring relationships as well.
Mhm.
We can have peer mentors, somebody else who's in a similar position to where we are. What are they doing to keep themselves up and active? or even people who are in completely different roles.
Mhm.
So through the University of Arizona right now, I'm participating in a mentoring institute where my mentors are from the School of Arts and the provost office, which are very dissimilar jobs to mine, but they have such great insight into different roles and responsibilities. So
Mhm.
as an employee yourself, look for those people who can be your mentors.
Mhm. I had a very good surprise last week. We had our faculty and staff awards, and I won a staff award for mentoring. And thank you. And one of the nominees that put my name out there basically said that I had answered it. It was a shock because I was like, what? I'd answer a question in a Slack box that she had sent over. And she says, we were totally unrelated. You know, she's in a different area. And I responded to her. And I followed up and sent her some resources. And she later contacted me and said, hey, you know, I'm new to ASU. Would you mind being my mentor, you know, kind of help me get acclimated, whatever. And she said she thought because I was a director that I was so busy that I would just say, like, here, you know, here's a resource that reach out to me if you ever need me. But she says, I opened up my calendar and I scheduled a reoccurring monthly meeting with her. And she says, every time I check in with her, I'm always saying, how are you doing? What can I do to help you? Those types of things. And she said, you know, that was kind of, you know, unexpected. But that's just, you know, kindness goes a long way, right? Helping someone goes a long way. I didn't expect a thing. I was just wanting to be there for the person. So at the end of the day, it's a win-win all the way around. Coaching, empathy. I'm going to just go through these: curiosity, positivity, persistence, communication, sincerity, connecting to resources. We want to be that person that cheers them on, that's enthusiasm, that is there to offer that, you know, that push, you know, to get them to that next level. In some cases, I talk to my team all the time. I say, you know, obviously I want you all to be here with me for as long as you can be. I'm going to see if I can create a path for you here. But if it's not possible, then I will support you. I will give you whatever you need. And I think at the end of the day, that goes a long way to knowing that you can be there. I've been in places where I was terrified to even I was gone, like to even reach back and say, can I get a reference? I think they're going to reach out and grab me through the phone, you know? I'm like, so, you know, don't have that kind of environment going on. Professional development. What are other ways that people can improve their professional development? It doesn't have to be this big formal program. You know, if you have staff people that are right there with you, maybe baby steps, especially you know, if you have team members that are a little bit shy or maybe inhibited in some way, maybe instead of presenting at a large meeting like this, and I'll tell you right now, there was a time in my life where I'd be up here stuttering about a minute right now. I would be like totally frozen in my tracks. But it took baby steps. And so giving them maybe an opportunity to present at your team meeting, okay, or to develop some form of training program. Maybe they're maybe they've been there a few months or whatever, and there's new staff coming on. Maybe you can help them develop some programming. Right now we have a relatively new staff person coming on, and I was like, I need fresh eyes to look at our website. You know, what do you look at the website? Tell me what you think. Tell me if anything's confusing to you. And that goes a long way to helping them onboard and improve. And that is professional development.
Speaking of onboarding, have them comment on your onboarding process.
Yes.
What did they find useful about it? What was great? What really was horrible about it? I know we transitioned during the pandemic. We went to completely remote and online onboarding, and that was awful for the first 3 to 6 months. It was wretched. But we had to put some intention in it. And so we talked to people afterwards, like, what could we have done better? What would have helped you more in this new environment? And that's a great way for them to develop some training.
Exactly. I'm just going to move along so we can get to the next section. Credentials, additional training, quality assurance. Again, having them look at things is a great way. So when it comes to all this, either you're going to have a tree that's flourishing, you know, that's growing, that's got vibrant leaves, or if you're not taking care of yourself, if you're not in the right environment, you're gonna sprinkle up like old dried up tree, and leaves are gonna fall off, and you're not gonna be motivated, and you're gonna be stressed out and all those things. So we don't want that. So let's focus on being healthy. And with that said, we're gonna move on to resources.
Thank you so
You're
much.
welcome.
Yeah. All right. So one of the ways that we can make sure that our career tree is growing healthy and strong is keep connected. I'm sorry. So you cannot hear me very well. How about now? Better? All right. So I was saying that one of the ways that we can make sure that our career tree is growing strong and healthy is that we keep actually checking our available resources to us to grow, to change, to actually expand our perspective and knowledge about our career. It hopefully will be like a fertilizer or something to our career tree. Great news here is that there are lots of resources available to all of us to use and increase our knowledge, increase our understanding about our career plan or our job. Unfortunately, there is not enough time today to go through everything in details. However, for people who are in person, we do have links to everything that we want to talk about here. So on your way out, you can grab one of these copies. And for the online people, are we good with like sending them the handouts?
It was uploaded to the Google file. We'll make sure it gets sent out.
Awesome, great. Also, we do have more good news that some of these great resources are available for free. So probably the only cost is you spend your time and educate yourself, and it would be hopefully wonderful. So I'll start with basics. I'll start with Uniform Guidance, aka 2 CFR 200, which I took a deep dive into it when I was preparing for myself for the CRA exam. And I told you that it completely changed my perspective about my day-to-day activity. It talks about lots of legal requirements, lots of reasoning that why we are doing something in this way and another things in another way. It will increase, or actually it increased my confidence whenever I was talking to my coworkers, when I was talking to my PIs, that basically kind of a showcase that I'm actually knowing what I'm doing. It's worth noting that it defines framework, baselines, and kind of minimum standards for what we are doing. So you want to be mindful about your own institution requirements. Sometimes the requirements that your institution, ASU, UFA, NAU, or other, like if you are coming from other institution, they do have more restrictive requirements. So we have to follow that more restrictive requirement. But however, it is still wonderful, but hefty. And probably you really need to spend a few days, if not weeks, on it to go through it, but it's still really worth it. The next few slides will talk about the resources that big federal sponsors offer. Of course, I am sure that most of you are aware of these resources, but if you work with NSF, you are aware of the proposal and award policies and procedure guideline, or AKA PAPPG. It talks about cradle to grave, anything that they wanted us as recipients of award know about how to manage their awards, basically, or our awards sometime, or like how we can submit proposal to them. Besides that, PAPPG, they do have a great website. We can see things about pre-award process, post-award process, additional resources like FAQs, current topics and trends, NSF 101 informational series, and that huge things about NSF policy office, that one of their greatest resources is like outreach. We will talk about it, that how great they are in organizing grant conferences. Another one, NIH, which, if I'm not mistaken, they are the biggest sponsor in the world, if I'm not mistaken, or if not the biggest, one of the biggest. And going through the resources will take At least it took, it's still taking, I'm actually still going through their resources, probably months, because they are huge, because they support lots of different activity. If you go through their website, you see things about grant. It covers things about like pre-award, how to write an application, to pre-award, to post-award, how to manage it. And I'm talking about that like bar there. The funding, if you go there, they're very great in explaining things that what funding mechanism they're used to give us funding. And one of the newly term here is the award transactions agreement, or OTA, which they explain it if they use contract. And if you want to know more about that, how NIH sees that funding mechanism, you can go and check it out. The policy and compliance section is huge and detailed and significant. That NIH grant policy statement alone, still I'm going through it. It's really a hefty document, to go valuable document. Notice of policy changes and compliance and oversight also. All right. The last sponsor that we talk is NASA. If you are in department who's working with NASA, you probably know most of it, if not all of them. They do talk about a proposer guideline, how you can like submit proposal if you successfully like receive grant. What are the expectations from recipients? They do have a manual, grant and cooperative agreement manual, information circulars. If you happen to work with work on a like basic research or applied research that are focused on Earth and space science program, then it actually applies to another guideline that they have. They call it ROSES. They do have FAQs and blogs only for ROSES, as well as additional resources, FAQs, training, and this stuff. Am I moving too often? Okay, not this. All right. So going through websites, reading their guidelines, and these things are not the only way that the sponsor actually want to connect it with the research community. They do offer grant conferences in a like regular basis. And my recommendation is go ahead and take advantage of anything similar that you see and go to their grant conferences, know them, learn from them, as well as network. You see two examples here from NSF, which they are having their spring grant conference in June in Philadelphia, June 3rd to 5th. It's gonna be hybrid. So you can register for in-person event, or you can be virtual. There is a little bit of registration fee for either, but of course, virtual is less expensive. Another one is, you see here, NIH had in 2023 their grant conference, which was virtual and completely free. And I learned from this grant conference, I think much easier than going through their hefty documents and guidelines. They had 25 sessions, and they had a great feature of one-to-one meet with experts, which you could have scheduled ahead, like meeting with grant officers, with program officers, hear about their feedback, or if you have any question or feedback, we can use similar meeting. They're due to have it in 2025. So NIH actually do offer that grant conferences, if I'm not mistakenly, biannually. All right. It's not only NIH and NSF. There are other sponsors that they do offer some grant conferences, but it's not as organized or kind of as organized as these two. All right. So we heard about federal, we heard about uniform guidance, about big sponsors, federal sponsors, about their resources that they offer. But I think the question probably is what our community offers then. And the answer is our community offers a lot. Dr. Khan talked about NCORA. Shana also talked about NCORA. It's National Council of University Research Administrator. And You do see that QR code here. It's clickable also whenever these slides are available. You can scan it on your phone and browse their websites if you would like. But I don't want to mess with the whole setup and click on it. What I do have is kind of like an overview of what they offer. So Encora provides offers things in two levels, of more of national level and of more of regional levels. And the national level, they do offer annual meetings, which they are famous for. They do have at least 3 annual meetings. One is more general annual meeting that is happening in DC around August every year. And then 2 are more focused on pre-award and post-award. They call it PRA and FRA conferences, which is usually annually happens in March in different locations. It happened in last April in Hawaii. So that was wonderful. I didn't go there, but that was wonderful. So they do have webinars, they do have workshops, they do have self-learning, self-placed learning. So self-placed learning is you can go and register yourself with that training program that you want, but on your own pace and on your own convenient time, you can go and educate yourself through this program. They have publications. If I'm not mistaken, about 16 publications are available for purchase. And one of them came very recently in April, early April, and that was about soft skill leadership, which is directly connected to what Lisa was saying. So if you are serving in the capacity of a leader, or if you want to be a leader someday, or if you want to kind of see if the work environment that you are working is actually a healthy environment, that resource might be a good thing to start with. It's a modern, they actually use all this modern technology. They do have YouTube channel, podcast, and they do offer a scholarship as well. So one of the feedback that we received from previous TURAC training was, is there any scholarship available to us? Encora is one of them that actually gives a scholarship under circumstances. If you are a master student in if you are actually taking your master's degree in research administration, which we will talk about it in a little bit. Or if you are taking your master, but you are focused on one of these research administrative field, you can apply for 2,500 scholarships that they offer. On a regional scale, they do also, with which we are, by the way, Arizona, along with Colorado, Utah, and other states. We are in region 7, the Rocky Mountain region. They do offer annual meeting. They do offer coffee chats, which I believe are free for members.
For free.
For everyone?
For everyone.
That's great. For everyone is free. And they do have webinars, travel awards, and there is a great program that they offer. They call it Encora Lead Me. So again, directly connected to what Shana and Lisa were talking, if you cannot find, for any reason, that good mentors that you really need and really want through their working environment that you're working, one of probably external resources to you guys will be the Encora Lead Me, which you have to be their member. And if you're looking for a mentor, you can sign up as a mentee. Or if you are a great mentor like Lisa, you can register as a mentor, and then they pair one mentor to one mentee for a 1-year program. They actually get contacted, they hopefully learn from each other, and what can be better than this? And another thing is, SRAI also is another one. You can use that QR code. It's Society of Research Administrators International. So SRAI also offers similar program like Encora Lead Me. They call it the Odyssey program, which is not here, okay, but it was. So the Odyssey program is also similar to Encora Lead Me. And again, it's a 1-year program. You can sign up as a mentor, or you can sign up as a mentee, and they pair one mentor to a mentee for 1 year of program and education. SRAI They also, they're similar, very similar to Ancora. And it's actually that we are lucky to have access to lots of these resources. SRAI offers like annual meetings, intense training programs, section meetings, which there are some international sections also in it. They do have virtual conferences. Level Up program is one of, some of my team members actually attended to their Level Up program last year, and they absolutely loved it. It's an intense program, lots of unparalleled courses that they can go and like attend their courses and answer like there will be quizzes at the end of the courses. And then at the end, when they pass everything, they get a certification of completion. But they absolutely, like, they cannot say enough good things about that program. They do have coffee chat, webinars. There are 10 programs that they offer certificates after like you're engaged in the programs, you probably answer their questions, you put some codes that they are giving in the chat, and like you kind of showing that you are engaging in the program, they give you the certification. TrueFit training is a custom training that they offer, and like Ancora, they do have publication, YouTube channel, scholarship awards, and podcasts. All right, so another one is, again, we received feedback from TUREC attendees that they wanted to hear more about CRA, Certified Research Administrator. And I'm sure you agree that there is not enough time today to go through details of CRA today, but we dedicated a few minutes, a few slides to CRA today. We will go through our experience, 3 of us, because we got our certification in different years, in different like level of experience. But we will share our experience. We will go through some requirements of the exam. And then they made significant change to exam in 2023. So there you will see some bullet points about what they changed. And then we will go through resources that are available. And wonderful news that most of those resources are available for free. So hopefully after this session, you feel confident about your plan if you want to take the CRA exam in the near future. So I took it in 2022 when I was 4.5 years into this career. I was only focused, mainly focused on pre-award. Barely did anything about post-award, but for some reason, probably my personality, I wanted to take the CRA, which is more comprehensive, not the CPRA, which is focused on pre-award. I found the exam challenging. It is a challenging exam. With the whole thing, it is a lengthy exam. It used to be 250 questions, 4 hours. You had to do mind gymnastics. You had to switch your mind from one topic quickly in less than a minute to another topic. And again, I was only focused on pre-award. All I was knowing about their thing was just like going through some study group. So, and another challenge to this area is the questions are very tricky. Like there are multi-choice questions, but there are good answers and better answer. So you cannot rush through it and say, okay, I found a good answer and check it. You have to go through everything, kind of analyze it, and go with the best possible answer. Again, I remind you, it is around 1 minute per question. If you do not want to actually take your time to review the some of more challenging questions. So because of these things, I found it useful that the more you know about resources, the more you know about these challenges, and the more you hear about people's experience, okay, you can prepare yourself mentally, hopefully, and then you can plan ahead. Yeah. I didn't know all of these resources at the beginning, but hopefully if you know at the beginning, and if you find it interesting and something that you want to take it on, then you go through it. Research Administration Certification Council is the one that organizing this certification. They offer 3 certifications: CRA, which is more comprehensive, probably more most popular one. CPRA is focused on pre-award, and CFRA is focused on post-award. The cost of exam is $395. Some organization will reimburse you if you pass. Some organization will reimburse you one time only, and some organization won't reimburse you or reimburse you partially. So if you you want to check with your supervisor to see what is available resource on your area. They're doing it twice a year. Each of these certifications, they take the exam twice a year. The CRA is happening in May and November. Is there anyone who's taking the exam in May? Yeah. Anyone?
No.
Wow, great. Yeah. And you're from which school? Arizona. All right, great. So the eligibility is you have to have a bachelor degree or advanced degree and 3 years of experience, or you have to have an associate degree and 5 years of experience, or if you don't have a degree, you should have 6 years of experience. Like anything else, you can request to waive this requirement, but please be mindful that it will be a lengthy process. So if you want to waive that requirement, that eligibility requirement, you want to plan even more ahead. You guys, you want to talk about your experience as well? Shana?
I took the exam in 2019. A couple of girls at University of Arizona and I decided that we were going to study together. We met in the evenings once a week for about 90 minutes. And at that time, it was a very different exam. So we looked at the body of knowledge and assigned sections to each of us. And so each week, one of us would come in and do a presentation on what we had found about that portion of the body of knowledge. So the person having to research it learned the most about it, obviously. But the goal of the session too was that they had to build something interactive for the other 2 people. We did have a couple of other people who kind of came in and out of the group, but really it was us 3. And we all 3 passed. It was a pretty large time commitment. In addition to that 90 minutes a week, we did a lot of studying on our own time. And it was an interesting exam. Like she said, there are questions that are deliberately designed to be tricky. They are meant to be for uniform guidance answers, like the general answer, not your institution specific. So it's sometimes really difficult to step back and pull myself out of U of A mode. And what do we require? And get to okay, what's the standard for the career? The other thing is, like she said, that there will be good answers. There might be 3 good answers, but there's going to be one that is the best for them. And so you really have to look at the wording of the question and what are they asking and which question answers that the best. Remember, like research administration, everything is it depends, but for those questions, it shouldn't depend. The answer is related to the question. So it's not, what's an unallowable expense? And they're going to give you a bunch of things. And you're like, well, but this is allowable if it's unallowable 90% of the time, then that's going to be the thing that's going to be the answer.
And for me, I took mine, I believe it was 2016, 2017. And I was a Lone Star back at Penn State Harrisburg, ran the research office there. And so I was kind of like in my own world doing this. That was when they had a body of knowledge, and it was like you would scroll for miles, keep scrolling, and you click on all the links. And, I was studying as much as I could, and I did some Quizlets, and I did all kinds of things. And I went and took it the first time, and boom, I failed. It was 350 or whatever it was out the pocket. So I was like, well, I'm not going to give up. So I gave myself a year. I went back. I started studying. I actually did take the CRA course, which was very helpful. What I found was that I was laxed in the history. They really want you to know the history, how we got here. Nuremberg trials. They want you to know by Dole. They want you to know all the regulations, policies, how we got here. That's so important. So you can focus on, where we're at now and some of the policy and from guidance and all that, but we also need to know the history. So that's the tip I give you. But I think it was a very good experience for me because I was pre-award, and I think it's not just the CRA credentials themselves that really give you value. It's the studying and the process of learning different aspects of research administration that you might not otherwise touch. And that gave me some depth and gave me some breadth of information that I wouldn't have probably got otherwise. So it's definitely worth it as far as experience. It's been valuable to me.
Thank you. So they went through significant changes and as of fall 2023. So I'll go through these changes with you, and hopefully you agree with me that all of these changes are positive. So they actually make this exam more towards like a modern exam. They reduced the number of questions from 250. Are we good with the time? Good. Okay. So they reduced the number of questions from 250 to 200. There are 25 pre-test pilot questions in the exam, which are distributed randomly across the exam. They are not marked in any shape or form, but they are actually from the topics that are new to CRA or like CPRA, CFRA, if you're interested in those exams. They want to like kind of get some statistical data of how people perform on it, but they are not counts towards the person's individual. They reduce the number of like the testing period from 4 hours to 3.5 hours now, but the ratio of minute to question actually slightly increased. So they gave us a few more seconds to think about questions. The weighting of topics are varied from one version of test to another. And because of this variation, they use a scaled scoring method, which is a modern way of like scoring certification. It's widely used across other certification. And the range is from 200 to 800. The passing point is 500, 62.5%. It used to be 70%. But it's not an apple to apple comparison because now they are actually doing a scaled scoring system. If you are interested in knowing more about these changes that they do, you can check out these links later on. And online people do have that handout. You can, in-person people, you can check it out here, or these slides will be available later on. Okay, again, Shana talked about the body of knowledge review session. These are resources that are available for CRA. It costs $225. It is intense. In some people find it intense. Some people find it right on the point. Some people find it basic. So depending on level of experience that you have, probably you have different feedback. But I think most of people find it useful. I didn't go to that review session, by the way. The practice test that you can go through RAC, again, it's $60 per practice test. It gives you, it's about, I think, 100 questions, if I'm not mistaken. It gives you a breakdown of like your score based on different topics. So you kind of see where is your weakness, basically, based on the RAC practice test. There are 4 universities that they offer CRA study group, and they are free. They're wonderful. Even if you are not sure, if you're not 100% sure that you want to take the CRA, you can still go to this study team and you can take advantage of these things. There are expert people who are doing this job for 20 years, for 30 years. They come and talk about 1 or 2 subjects like for 2 hours. They're recorded it. You can like even find it in YouTube and just educate yourself. If you want to know more about NIH, you can even like check the Virginia Tech CRA study team as another resource. There is Virginia Tech is the one that I attended twice, and they do have a 10-week off program. And again, wonderful people come and like educate us. University of Boulder also have similar program, University of Michigan and University of Arizona, which Shana is leading that program.
So we're on hiatus for the spring because of the fall remodel of the test. And we're going to be coming at this in the fall And it started out as just a couple of sponsored projects people. Last semester, we opened it up to campus. And when we come back in the fall, we may be opening it up to external organizations, which terrifies me just a little bit. But basically, we meet once a week for 90 minutes. We have a session that talks on different topics that are going to be part of the exam. We had 6 people take it this past round, and all 6 of them passed, and at least 2 of them are at that back table over there. We started with about 30 participants, and it went down to about 8 to 10 active participants. So you can imagine that there were a few people who kind of came in and were like, oh, okay, 90 minutes, that's not that bad. And then they were like, oh, it's not just 90 minutes, it's all this extra stuff. So it is a time commitment, even going through these programs. Just be aware of that. But yeah, there's Virginia Tech is the one that I took the most advantage of. UC Boulder has some great resources. I haven't looked through Michigan's stuff yet, but I will absolutely go through there and see what they have to pull out. But I think the area we're going to be focusing on more than the content as much is how to take the test. Because the single biggest complaint I heard, or frustration, was that some of those questions are really tricky. And I took a program management class last summer, and I'm going to be refreshing myself on it this year, where one of the best things they did was at the end of it, they went through it with the entire group and actually went through the questions, had everybody kind of weigh in, and then they'd give you the correct answer. And there'd be this big discussion about why everybody chose whatever answer they did. That was really helpful. And I think we're going to be pivoting a little bit more and doing some more of that in our program.
Quizlet is another resource. You can go and see cards that other people created. But my recommendation is, if you want to use Quizlet, go ahead and create your own card. It's going to help you, because some of those specifically old cards, they do have some outdated information, so you don't want to confuse yourself. All right, so we want to be quick in the next few slides if I can. This slide is I'm surprised, because I didn't know that there are 3 universities right now that they are offering master's degree in research administration. So if you want to think about it, Johns Hopkins University was pioneer in this field. UCF and CUNY are also, they do offer a master in research administration. Okay. If you want to know more about, so we do have tons of resources, but I handpicked some of those here. And want to talk about it a little bit really fast. If you want to know more about campus business, general campus business, and specifically if you're working at departmental level, NACUBO is a great resource, kind of expanding your knowledge in that area. If you ever wonder, do we have an advocator in this area, that they advocate for better, more updated, modern policies? Or if federal wanted us to do something and doesn't make sense, is there anything that they can go and kind of negotiate with them for a better term or policies? It's COGR. Okay. If you want to know, do we have a partnership with federal? We do, FDP. There are some big federal sponsors, some they call it research policy organization, and some research academics like UFA and ASU, they're partnered together. They streamline policies, best practices, and these things. And they are kind enough to create resources and templates for all of us to use for free. If you are not part of the discussion listserv of HRI, I highly recommend it. Again, there are people here that are nice, kind, generous, and they share their expertise, their experience, their templates that they worked on it for months, probably, just share it with you quickly. And if you try everything else, but still you're not sure about an answer to your issue, you can try to post it here and see what other people actually, if they have similar experience.
Also job postings.
Also job posting, good point. And TUREC is Tri-University Research Administration convening. It's a effort between 3 public universities in Arizona, as you know, and we actually want to create an environment for people to share their experience, to network, to share their best practices. And we hosted this year here at NAU. I witnessed everyone's hard work to set up this like today and tomorrow session. Appreciate everyone. We're doing it. It's actually, I think it's going well. And I'm here with again like Shana and Lisa. If I'm not mistaken, you're the co-chair of first ever TURAC, right?
The second.
The second
Mhm.
TURAC. Okay.
Yes.
So you want to talk about TURAC?
Well, obviously, very proud of the fact that we're actually in person this year. This is a monumental occasion. So thank NIU for hosting and for the chairs that pulled it together. We started. This is our third annual meeting.
Mhm.
The first was virtual, second was virtual. But if you go back, you can actually look at, I believe we have it archived, all of the sessions from back then as well. And some of them are very relevant to the day. So I would encourage everyone, but as co-chair last year was very, I was very happy to be a part of that because we know that after COVID, a lot of budgets were cut as far as professional development. And so to have these types of events where it really doesn't cost a thing as far as we have people that are virtual, but to have all the colleges and universities come together to make this happen is amazing. So.
And then as far as professional development goes, there are volunteer opportunities for TURAC. This is my plug for them, and it was completely unprompted. There are volunteer opportunities for TURAC. Help out with a subcommittee. You don't have to lead it. You can participate in it and get your feet wet. Participate in a presentation. If you're not positive that you have the ability to do a presentation all on your own, submit that you want to be a presenter. They'll pair you up with people. We had the TURAC committee reached out to us to said, here are these presentations. We don't have U of A representation on them. Do you have people that you could recommend for these sessions? It's a great way to gain experience and meet fantastic people that you get to partner with. And that's what I'm going to say about that.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much. Next slide will be my last slide. And then I'll turn it over to Lisa and Shana to talk about their institution specific resources as well. But with NAU offered a lot, like hundreds of resources, but like a few of these things, few highlights of resources that hopefully you find it useful are like our Office of Sponsor Project website. If you want to know things about our policies, updates, news, SOPs, life cycle, who to contact, and these things, you can check out our website. NAU offered grants forward to anyone who's looking for funding opportunity. It's completely free. You can log in with your NAU login credential and then have access to more than 13,000 sponsors and funding opportunities, resources. You can plug in your interest area or like CVs even, and then they send you notification regularly. CT program, like ASU and UFA, we do have CT program, which is a compliance training program. If you like curious to know more about human subject, animal subject, conflict of interest, export control, and these things, there are courses here. You can go and like take those. For some people, it's mandatory. For some people, probably optional. Our IT team, I found it very recently. They do offer Udemy. Thanks to Mariah, I found it. So you can again log in with your NAU credential, login credential, and freely have access to thousands of resources. If like from wide range of things. If you want to know about like a hot topic these days, AI, what is AI? Basically, you can find things in Udemy. If you want to know what are softwares available that make my job more efficient, you can check it. I use Notion, like I think since last 2 weeks. I love it. I found it in Udemy. So lots of other things, how to be a better trainer, soft skills, along with some hard skills, you can find it. And our HR also offers so many career development opportunities. You can check it out in their website, or you can actually go through your PeopleSoft and see like what are resources available and register. I attended the base camp in last November. It's for mentors, actually. Mentors, supervisor, and things. Phenomenal. I loved it so much. I loved it. And that's about ASU, NAU resources. I hand it over to Lisa.
Yes, so I basically plugged in 3 sites here that you can go for a research administrative support. It's an open source, so you can, any institution can go and log into the first one. It's our ASU research admin site, which has a ton of resources that's geared towards the research, the PI, the RA, research administrator, and their support staff. So that's open source. And then we have ASU professional development resources that obviously is led through our leadership and workforce development, but it supports the ASU staff and faculty. And then we have Career Edge, which is a lot of professional development courses, whether it be soft skills and other types of things. But I think the point I want to bring across is, and throughout my professional career, is that I don't always just rely upon my sources at my institution. I go out and I look at all of them. I dig through them. I look at them because at the end of the day, I think all of us are doing something great. All of us are doing some best practices, and that's what I hunt for. So I'd say don't limit yourself. You know, there's a lot of good stuff out there.
So quickly, we have the EDGE, or Employee Development Growth and Engagement, which is an internal resource for the University of Arizona people with a NetID that has a lot of compliance trainings and also LinkedIn Learning for a lot of those soft skill development. Research administration, training and development. We have an entire web page that has information on our CRA prep program, publications and webinars that we make available to our staff. Those are also behind a NetID. We have a monthly research administrators forum where we talk on different topics. This past month, it was all about PAPPG changes, and a RAM Talk listserv as well. Broadly, we have a research support website that has self-service resources for pre and post-award full life cycle, but also contact information for all the different compliance units and all of that. We have invested in the SRA Level Up program as an institution. So we have an institutional license, which allows anyone with a University of Arizona NetID to request access to it. And this is module learning. So I believe there are 8 to 10 regular modules that are on different topics like pre-award research administration, proposal development, post-award financial research administration. There are also little short M guides that are maybe an hour long that teach you how to do an NIHR proposal or a RIPR, research progress report. I don't know the full acronym for that one, sorry. We have a newsletter that we send out every month that has updates, articles, and opportunities. And then we are participating in the city program as well. So our staff can log into that through single sign-on and take those compliance courses to learn a bit more about the contextual part of it.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. We didn't have as much time for discussion as we originally wanted. We've got about 10 minutes left. Did you want to do the story share, or do you want to ask for questions?
Well, I think it's better.
Okay. So are there any questions out there? Yes.
Okay, I don't need this, but okay. Hello, my name is Megan Cooper. Oh, hello online with ASU. I just have a quick question. I think oftentimes in our position, you know, we step outside our comfort zone and we learn new strengths. And I just think professional strengths and skills. How would you, or do you have any recommendations on how to capture that when we're looking for our next move, or, you know, what we want to do next in our career? Is there a way to take those into consideration, or how to prioritize the things that we've learned that we're now doing, and, you know, how that plays out on our next adventure?
I mean, I give my own personal perspective. Is it French Fay with the minimalist in the organization? It's like, you know, when you're getting ready to clean house or whatever, you touch something, if it doesn't bring you joy, you get rid of it. I think for me, I look at what I really love about like my job, what really gives me satisfaction, and I try to get more of that. So I'm looking when I'm very intentional to what I'm looking for, in my next, career move. I mean, that's been the way it's been throughout. But I think the most important thing is to write down what your needs are. That's important, because if you get in position and it's like, you feel good about it, but it's not meeting your needs, then, it's kind of like it's wash. So, from my perspective, it's really about, especially in research administration, we pave our own way to a certain degree. I really believe that. We oftentimes can talk to our people at our current institution and let them know what we're desiring. And sometimes they create opportunities for us. So sometimes it's just having that conversation. That's my perspective. Focus on what brings you joy in that.
And then my perspective is use your resume and your cover letter for those things. So I remember this myth that has persisted to even today, that your resume only needs to be 1 page. That is for early career. That is for beginning. As you grow in your research administration career and you have a 1-page resume, I'm going to look at that and be a little suspicious. Use the number of pages that you need. Generally, I'll recommend 3 max for a later career. But also it shouldn't be one of those things where it's like, I worked here and I did all these tasks. You want to have your career history, but I've moved to more of a skills and achievements method where I talk about some of the key things that I did in each role and the skills that I used to do that, the things that I'm proud of and I want people to know about. And that is one way to get it in front of them. So if you're learning something and you are able to put it into use in your current job in any way, talk about it. Also in your cover letter, that's your opportunity to say, I haven't had direct experience with this, but I've had some parallel experience, and here are all the things that I've gone after and done to try to prepare myself for this role. And that's why you should consider me. So to the comment earlier about the educational block, about how sometimes you need the correct degree. I actually ran into that in my career. I did not have a degree until 2020. I got my bachelor's in psychology during the pandemic. Prior to that, I had a high school diploma and a heck of a lot of experience. And so I felt a little bit like I had to justify myself. I applied for a management position that required a degree in accounting and finance, and I did not. I had a major in anthropology at the time. And so when they interviewed me, even though I had all this experience and I had been working for them and they knew me, they said, well, why should we hire you? You don't have the degree we want. You're not even in the same field. And I said, well, you're looking at me for a manager position. Anthropology is the study of how we become who we are. And psychology is the study of why we become who we are. What better skills for a manager to have? I don't need to be able to add numbers. I need to be able to add people. And that actually won the argument and they hired me. I did earn my CRA in 2019. And that is another way you can get around some of those very specific degree requirements. If it's saying I need a degree in this very specific area, I have a bachelor's degree in a comparable area, but I am a certified research administrator, carries way more weight in this field than anything else. Does that answer?
I love that question because it's like you talk about individual styles and how we interpret your question. I was looking internal and you were looking external. I just love the way it complemented each other. So it's like, cool. That's so cool when that happens.
We can get to work together.
No.
But we work together.
So my personal perspective is kind of like not afraid of taking challenges. It was really difficult for me at the beginning of my job to kind of showcase my ability. I kind of knew answer to almost all the questions that they asked, the API asked, but since there were probably more senior person in the room, I was kind of quiet, not like saying anything. But eventually I found out that if you specifically do have this that skill, you want to like take that seriously and talk it. And at the beginning, probably still will be a little bit scary, like having those challenging proposals or award in hand, like showing that I can lead or like kind of manage that challenging portfolio. But as you're doing it, you learn more, you showcase more, and then other opportunity will be available hopefully for you. Yeah.
Were there any questions from the online audience? No. Okay. We can, I think we have time for one more question. Or we can just talk.
We were gonna share about our careers, but I think we're not gonna have time for that, but if anybody is, wants to have that conversation, if you're new in research administration, we're around, lunch, I'm open. If you want to hear about that, sometimes just hearing somebody's story can maybe help you along as well. Absolutely.
And we wanted to say thank you.
Thank you.